How did the United States bring sports betting to life? How did Americans end up betting $150 billion on sports in 2024? Why do you see sports betting ads more than any others? And why is sports betting everywhere? To understand why sports betting is such a big deal now, we need to go back 8 years. It's 2017. The Golden State Warriors are on their way to another championship, and you want to put some money on who will win Game 4. Well, no dice. Unless you're in Carson City or Las Vegas, basically anywhere in Nevada. But that's another story. If you were in New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Houston, or Los Angeles, you had no legal way to bet on sports. All because of PASPA, the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, a law that kicked in before the first episode of Friends hit the air. PASPA, with a few small exceptions, made sports betting illegal across the country. Why? Congress said sports gambling was a national problem, with its harm spreading beyond the states that allowed it. That's the law that stopped you from betting on the Warriors in Game 4 in 2017, and it's why sports betting in the US was completely illegal. But things were about to change. If laws and politics are for you less exciting than the third season of Squid Game, the next 30 seconds might be a bit dry. On May 14th, 2018, the US Supreme Court, in the case of Murphy v. National Collegiate Athletic Association, struck down PASPA, ruling it violated the 10th Amendment. Parts of PASPA were called unconstitutional because they overstepped states' rights. That Supreme Court decision ended the federal ban on sports betting and gave the states the power to decide for themselves. From then on, places like New York, Michigan, Missouri, or California could set their own rules for sports betting. That's why your cousin in Oregon couldn't just go online and bet on Patrick Mahomes as the MVP of the last Super Bowl. But after that, it was like a floodgate opened. That same year, New Jersey, Delaware, Mississippi, West Virginia, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island legalized sports betting, and most other states followed over the next few years. But hold on a second. In states like Mississippi or New Mexico, they only legalized in-person betting. So in those places and a few others, you're still missing out on the heart of modern sports betting: online sports betting. When we talk about why sports betting is everywhere, we're mostly talking about online betting. In-person betting, it's pretty much fading away. No surprise there. Only 5% of bets in the US are placed at physical locations these days. Online betting, even if it stirs up some debate, took off like crazy after 2018. Why? Technology's moving fast, and you're probably spending way too much time on your phone. Want to bet on the Knicks? Just grab your phone, it's likely right there, open an app, and sometimes within a few taps, your bet's placed. That's it. We're at a point where not just in-person betting, but even betting on websites is becoming old school. Look at the data, and most online bets are coming from phones, not websites. For sports fans looking for extra excitement, it's the perfect setup to quickly bet on any moment in any game, even while it's happening. But that's only part of why sports betting is everywhere. The companies behind it haven't been sitting around for the past 7 years. These days, you can't watch an NFL, NBA, or any league game without seeing a FanDuel or DraftKings logo or some other betting company's brand. Why does it feel like you'll open a drawer and find a bet $5 get $300 flyer behind your snacks? FanDuel and DraftKings are the giants of online sports betting, controlling up to 80% of the market in some states. They had a leg up because before PASPA was overturned, they were already running daily fantasy sports, DFS, but that's also a story for another video. When PASPA went away, FanDuel and DraftKings were names sports fans already knew, and they had huge lists of DFS players they could shift over to this new kind of betting. That's how, among dozens of other operators like BetMGM, ESPN Bet, Caesars, or Fanatics, FanDuel and DraftKings came out on top and started setting the rules. When those player lists started running dry, they had to reach out to new people who might be into what they offered. Shockingly, they didn't target Taylor Swift fans. They went for sports fans. So, sports events became one of the best ways to get their name out there. They signed dozens, then hundreds of deals with teams and leagues. The setup's simple. Companies get to show off at games, and teams, leagues, and sports organizations get paid big bucks. Win-win. That's how FanDuel, DraftKings, and other betting companies became part of the sports mainstream. So, we've answered why sports betting is everywhere, But this question often comes from people who see a real problem here. Sports betting is gambling, and gambling can be addictive. No one's arguing that. It's a serious thing. That's why state regulators set clear rules about what betting companies can and cannot do. They also lay out what companies have to do, like giving players tools, information, and support to lower the risk of addiction. That's called responsible gaming. To be fair to the operators, despite the flood of ads, which, yeah, is real, they're not allowed to mislead players or push them toward addiction. Even one sketchy move with a single player that risks responsible gaming can hit them with fines in the tens of thousands. For bigger mistakes, the penalties are way higher. So as we wrap up, let's set some things straight. Is sports betting gambling? Yes. Can gambling lead to addiction? Yes. Did sports betting and other gambling exist before 2018 despite the federal ban? Yes. Foreign companies reached American players who could easily get on their platforms and bet. That's still going on, but there's a bigger effort now to stop it. Why? Those foreign companies don't follow US rules and aren't required to stick to the guidelines that legit companies have to. The bottom line here is that there's no clear good or bad answer here. Gambling's been around forever and always will be, with or without rules. Sports betting ads are everywhere because states would rather let companies they can regulate run things than those they can't control.